Pessoal, calma. This video will be in English, but you gotta wait for this. Como é que vai funcionar? Decidi fazer com que esse penúltimo episódio da série sobre o Early Childhood Reporting Institute tivesse duas partes. Na primeira parte, esse vídeo aqui que você está assistindo, eu vou contar toda a programação do curso que tá aqui, impressa. Na segunda parte, eu quero explicar o passo a passo da inscrição e da avaliação. Esse vídeo vai ser em português, porque eu não sou boba. Eu quero que mais jornalistas brasileiras e brasileiros queiram participar dessa oportunidade. Então, vamos lá? One important disclaimer is that everything happened 3 months ago, so I can't remember everything. But I got the agenda printed here and I'll read for you and tell some things. And the first information is that the Global Institute took 4 days in New York at the Columbia Journalism School. That's very nice. With almost 30 journalists from all over the world. I am Brazilian. It was my first time outside of my country. And I will say more things about it in a few minutes. Because we had the first day. The first day, it was with a shorter schedule because the main purpose of it was for us to know each other, meet the team, meet the sponsors of this initiative, and have the welcome dinner. But since one of the funders of this opportunity is the Fundação Maria Cecília Souto Vidigal, which is a Brazilian non-profit institution, they wanted to know all the Brazilian people involved in this workshop. So I had lunch with them before going to the Columbia Journalism School. It was very nice because it felt like home to be. I don't remember. I of course I talked in Portuguese. So after this, when we got to the Columbia University, actually not after, but to begin everything. We had the moment of welcome and introduction. So the Dart Center for Journalism and Trauma team, they were explaining this initiative for us, explaining their work, explaining, presenting themselves. I guess I told it in the first episode of this series. Bruce Shapiro, like the executive director of the Dart Center, he told that this 4-day experience is supposed for us to have a lot of out of the record moments to share ideas, to share our vulnerability among journalists. So it was a safe space, actually the best word to use. And then we met the founders. So the team, the representatives actually, from the Van Leer Foundation, Fundação Maria Cecília Souto Vidigal Foundation, and the Two Lilies Fund, they explained why they were there, why does it matter so much for them and their institutions, and it made me feel very important and responsible because they invested money for me, for all of us, to travel, to stay, to learn, to listen to experts. So thank you a lot. That's why I want more people to know about it and to apply for it. And if you are liking this video, please hit the like button as well. And then we got the Fellowship Story Showcase by the Early Childhood Journalism Initiative, which is different from the Global Institute, which I was. The Early Childhood Journalism Initiative by the Dart Center for Journalism and Trauma is a fellowship for journalists to do these stories. It gave us the opportunity to listen to fellows there. They shared their creative process, the results of their stories, articles. Some of them even got awards. So it was very nice because they did all this during the pandemic. So for them, it was also an opportunity for them to meet each other and to meet us. And it was amazing. Then we got the small group discussions about our goals for the institute, our topics of interest, and in those small groups, we could listen more to our friends, new friends, the fellows that were there. And the facilitators of these small groups, they presented some insights for everyone in the room. I guess it was very necessary for the moment after, which was our welcome dinner. So I already knew better about who my colleagues were. Even though I got their bios here, it was better to get this first moment talking to them and connecting with their stories, like personal stories. The first official day of the institute, like with the whole schedule, the whole agenda, with panels and debates, which were what we came for. The first one was birth of a parent. I got to explain a little because this title, he used part of his personal experience to talk about how everyone change their bodies, their brains, their relationships since they found out they are going to have a child. Then we got the keynote, how young children get to know the world around them, which was by Alison Gopnik. Yeah, the development, she is a PhD, developmental psychologist and author, professor, and she gave us lots of copies of her book, The Gardener and the Carpenter, which I'm reading now. It's full of scientific information, but at the same time, it's very, very nice to read and talks a lot about how children develop and the role their relationships take in this process. Not only being a parent, but also with grandparents and everyone. I'm loving this book. Like, this book is the legacy, one of the legacies of the Global Institute for me. Before lunch, we got the panel, The Neuroscience of the Early Brain Development, mobilizing a decade of scientific evidence to help children in distress. I won't detail every activity because I actually can't remember everything, but I'm reading for you, okay? That's the purpose of this video. After lunch, we got the panel, Systemic Stressors on Caregivers and Children and Solutions, which is something we want to know more about. In this panel, we got 3 specialists from different areas, from institutions, people who work with child and family welfare, professors of neuroscience and education, and so on. After the break, we had the journalist roundtable with our fellows. So the people who talked for some minutes the day before about what they done with the journalism initiative, now they had more time to talk about the stories, and we had the time to ask them about the results of it. Those fellows were our professors during the workshop phase that happened right after this. And the options of workshops we had were covering migration, mental health reporting on children and families in war, reporting on children as a parent, science reporting for non-scientists, reporting on marginalized children, and visual storytelling about children. The ones I chose were the mental health one and the visual storytelling. They are the things I work with lately. Yeah, time flows fast. And during this experience, it was even more sad. But before explaining what happened on Sunday, I just got a point that, as you can see in the series, in the second episode, I guess, we were supposed to go to the Circle Line cruise on Saturday night, but it was raining and winding. Everything went wrong, but we got the opportunity to postpone to Sunday. But it only happened at night, so let's pay attention on the activities of the Global Institute. The first one was the panel Parenting Begins Before Birth, the new science of prenatal programming and early brain behavior development. I became a different person after this one because I am kind of scared of how many things can go wrong during pregnancy. And why, when I say things going wrong, I mean by external things, trauma situations, how they really messed everything. If we are here, if we are alive, watching this video, we went through a long process. We are survivors. But let's go. The next panel was When Caregivers Need Care, Mental Health of Adults, which is very important as well. This speech we saw after was War and the Brain, How Conflict Impacts Young Children and Caregivers. Some of us cover war while it's happening and its impact on people's lives, and we got the chance to listen to a professor, but he is a journalist as well, so he was very familiar with this and gave us a lot of advice on how to do better. Right after the War and the Brain speech, we got the trauma-informed interview of children and caregivers with a PhD clinical psychologist, and she is a Dart Center trainer. This is something, and I told that this is something that I wish I could have learned during my graduation. Then we got the second workshop and finally went to the cruise. I even got my ticket here. To me, why am I still why I still got it? I think I took it as a souvenir or something, because here it is. As a first-time traveler, it meant a lot for me. Thanks, Dart Center, for it. And then here is the last day. Very sad, very sad. And it was shorter one, just like the first day, because people already had to travel and everything. So we had breakfast. The last day was very focused on the legacy of this. Not the legacy of it, but what are we going to do? What do we plan to do with all this information? Journalism. So we had a story pitching, individual coaching sessions with many people. Our fellows, the Dart Center team. We got like 10 people to advise us. And during the agenda, we had some talks, important talks on how the community of fellows, the Dart Center community, takes a huge role when it comes to protecting journalists and giving them information and everything that is necessary to keep doing the good work. There are 2 panels before going home, and they were the journalist, self-care, and resilience in challenging times. So I loved this panel, and this panel is very connected with what I think the Dart Center for Journalism and Trauma is. Everything made sense when putting together in order, because the last panel was about the early childhood journalism network. Then we got the closing, the farewell, lunch, and unfortunately, now I am home. Now I am no longer there. And that's the video I wanted to record. I always will encourage you to apply because it's nice, but for some people it might be some information they already knew. But why not going? Because you are going to meet 30 plus people in your life, or be able to talk in person with some specialists. So thank you a lot for watching this. Now let me switch back to Portuguese, which is way easier to me. But anyway, I hope you come back next time for my channel. There is the playlist of all the vlogs during this experience. There are 2 more videos, one in Portuguese about how to apply for it, and the last video is the vlogging there about this last day, the Monday I just talked to you. Bye. For the English speakers, like, turn on the subtitles, because now I will be talking in Português. Minha gente, é isso. Ai, eu tô super feliz. Eu fico muito feliz toda vez que eu reviso essa programação ou penso com calma sobre o impacto de cada uma dessas informações, de cada coisinha que acontece, cada segundo vivido lá, porque realmente é relevante hoje e é algo que a qualquer momento, assim, vem um desdobramento que veio dessa experiência, né? É algo mesmo que vai ser útil para o resto da carreira, da vida, em qualquer área. Eu espero que vocês tenham gostado dessa primeira parte do vídeo sobre os vídeos técnicos, né? Sobre o que se trata, como se inscrever, enfim, como funciona o Early Childhood Reporting Institute. Até semana que vem com a parte 2 e um beijo!